Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 464.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the CashFlow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other CashFlow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here today because here's the thing. When it comes down to it, I know you know that we all want to just, become better. We want to become bigger. We want to become better, but some of us just want to get started, but many of us just want to improve. And what on earth are we to do when we have questions? Well, typically, we can take our questions, especially in today's day and age, to an expert and hopefully get them answered. And most importantly, be able to take action on the information that we then receive. So I have with me today America's #1 business expert. She's known as SmallBizLady. Her brand reaches over 3 million entrepreneurs every week. And she's been doing this for 20 years. Now think about it. That means we're going to get some sage advice. That also means that we probably should take some notes because at the end of the day, what we want to do is make sure that we capture and remember it so that we can take action on the information that we receive. I have with me today none other than Melinda Emerson. As I said, known as SmallBizLady. And here's the thing. Some of you probably have already met her on Twitter, right? At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you want information that's actionable. You want information that you can use. And when we're talking to someone who has an award-winning marketing consulting firm based in Philadelphia, serving Fortune 500 brands, that means we can listen, we can follow. And now it's time to learn. Help me welcome Melinda Emerson. Melinda, how are you doing?
I'm great, Jay. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad you're making the time because I can imagine that you're rather busy often.
Yeah. I mean, we always have things going on in SmallBizLady Enterprises as well as my consulting company, Quintessa's Group. So we're always hopping around here.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, before we go too far, this being your first time here, I have to ask you the same question I ask everybody else the first time that they're here. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. You know, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, etc. And I think, entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton of things in common. For example, as an entrepreneur, occasionally I can imagine myself, running around town, using our products and services, saving our customers, and occasionally even wearing some tights and a cape. Also, like a superhero, an entrepreneur has a beginning. If you think about, say, Peter Parker, there was a time where he was just a kid going to school. That's all he was. Before the whole Spider-Man thing happened, he was just trying to take some photos, get some good grades, and maybe earn some pizza money. And then something happened to him. He discovers that, oh my goodness, I have this superhero ability. I've got special skills and I get to decide to use them for good or evil. So my question to you is as follows. Before your book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, before your other book, Fix Your Business, before being, a columnist for the New York Times, an entrepreneur, before all the things that people know you today, even before your son was born, what we want to know is, who is Melinda Emerson?
Wow, that was kind of a wind up there. I am a professional woman business owner. I am a single mom of an amazing 12-year-old boy. I am a dragon slayer. I I do dishes. Um,
Yes.
I am a consultant to Fortune 500 brands that want to target the small business market. But mostly, I am someone who realized about 10 years ago that the most valuable thing in my business was what I learned from running it. And I realized
Hmm.
that I would have run my business better if I had had better advice. But then I realized there wasn't too many sources to get advice on how to run a successful business. There were lots of books and things out there, but there wasn't anyone in the media on a regular basis telling people how to start and grow a successful business. And I decided to put myself in charge of that. And I created the Small Biz Lady brand and my mission to end small business failure. And that's what I work on every day.
You know, what's interesting is I love the phrase that you just used. You decided to put yourself in charge of that. Where does that just, you know what, bring the problem to me, I can solve it attitude come from?
Well, you know what? I believe in divine callings. And when I was, gosh, 8, 9 years into my business, I was rolling. I was doing extremely well. My husband at the time was able to quit his full time job at GE, join our business. I had the largest female owned video production company in Philadelphia. I was number 29 on the Philly 100 list of fastest growing small businesses. And then in 2005, I got pregnant with my son. And I basically went from being the worst workaholic you ever met in your whole life to being put on bed rest for 6 months and not able to leave my house.
Oh,
And
no.
Wi-Fi was not in existence in 2005, right? So it wasn't like I could just be at home on my computer still working. No, I mean, they basically ground my whole situation to a halt, to a stop. And for me, I had made the number one mistake you make in business, which is I had built a business that couldn't run without me.
Hmm.
All these employees and all this equipment, all this stuff, and big offices downtown. And I had built a business that could not run without me. And we almost lost everything the year that I was pregnant with my son. And, but the good news story about that is that while I was home on bed rest, it was the first time I had ever stopped to really look at my business and think about my business because I was so busy doing my business. And I started writing out all these expensive lessons that I had had the opportunity to learn. And man, the list was long. Oh, it was scary. All the things we had done bad. And I was just like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And how come nobody was telling me these things out here that could happen to you? And, dealing with banks, dealing with workman's comp, dealing with, employees that go and file for unemployment, like just crazy stuff that happens to people that shouldn't, but that you have to deal with it anyway. And I just realized that my calling was not running a video production company. My calling was helping people start successful businesses. And literally, I had a vision and a dream 3 times that I was supposed to be America's number one small business expert. And then God moved every mountain out of my way to make it happen, including me getting my first phone deal, my book deal from just being on the phone one day with someone saying, look, I got this book. I think I can help people. And I didn't have a blog. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a book proposal. I had 4 chapters in the table of contents, man. That's it. And I literally, the man on the other end of the phone said, well, send me your chapters and I'll let you know what I think of your little book. Like, that's how he talked to me crazy, and I was just like, all right. And that was Thanksgiving 2007.
Nice.
And I sent it to him, and January 3rd, 2008, he called me and he said, you got any more chapters? I like your little book.
Yes, that's awesome. Now, here's what I am hearing, and I want everybody else to hear. I know oftentimes when we're trying to go out there and to make business happen, Melinda, we can get stuck in this, let's say, planning stage, getting ready stage. I don't hear a whole lot of, I hear a lot of action, from your end as versus, I want to, strategize to get ready before I start moving into any particular direction. So What would you say about to those who are probably wanting to start a business, thinking about it, saying, yeah, Melinda, I feel like I've received that same calling, that message. I've got to do something.
Yeah.
What's their first step?
Wait a minute. So I need to back this story up some. So
okay.
I have leaped over some steps to make you believe that just because one has an idea, one should go out and do it.
Okay.
I believe that you have to plan for success. Success is not going to just happen to you. I do not believe in people quitting jobs to start businesses. I think that's madness. I think that in my first book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, which the story I just told you about how that book came about, one of the things I sat down and thought about was what is the right way to transition from having a job to starting a business. And I developed what I call the Emerson planning system, which is actually my 6-step system that I take people through before they start their business and certainly before they quit their job. So the first step in the Emerson planning system is really figuring out what you want and why you want it. The fact that you don't like your job is not a good enough reason to start a business. you need some more compelling reasons than that. And so I start with people developing a life plan. The second thing I tell people to look at is, okay, you figured out that starting a business is for you. Okay. All right. Well, how you going to pay for it? Because banks do not loan money to start up businesses. So where is your money at to launch this business? And oh, by the way, where's the pot of money you're going to use to maintain your household while you're doing it? Because it takes 18 to 24 months for a small business to break even, let alone throw off enough money to replace your corporate salary. So what are you going to do? The money to start your business needs to come from your right or your left pocket. How much you got in your right?
I like it.
You really have to think through the money piece because it's real. I mean, money's going to go out for a long time before it starts coming back in, and you just have to know that.
Well, sometimes the money goes out faster than you originally anticipated.
Oh, and it always does. That's the reason why you got to have a stash of money also to maintain your household. Because true story, the first year I started my business after I left my job as a television producer, my air conditioner broke on the hottest day in July.
Uh-oh.
I mean, yeah. So you imagine, I just left my job, just started my business, and 2 months later, my air conditioner goes in the middle, That's got to be fixed. That's a $4,000 to $7,000 problem.
Right.
You got any money to deal with that? Or, kids need braces, cars break down. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that happens that you still have to manage while you're growing this business. Now, it's nice sometimes if you have a spouse that has a job, that's cool. But, your spouse is only going to carry you for so long until that's going to start putting some serious wear and tear on your relationship. So you really do have to plan, and it might take you 12 months to get your money straight, to get rid of stupid credit card debt and stuff like that, because you're going to need that excess credit capacity as you start your business. And you're going to have a realistic timeline for just how you're going to pursue this business and how much it's really going to cost you to do it.
Okay. So here, hold on. Here's I know a thought going through somebody's head listening right now. They probably driving on their way to work as they speak, and they just like, but Melinda, I want to leave now. You telling me I got to stay there for 12 more months while I fix this stuff?
It's going to be a lot easier for you to be at that job knowing you got an exit strategy for 12 to 18 months down the road. You can do anything for a small amount of time, but quitting your job prematurely because somebody got on your last good nerve yesterday, that's not a good enough reason. Trust and believe me.
Okay.
Trust. Big mama no. I did all the mistakes, right? Trust me when I'm telling you. Listen, I planned for a year before I left my job at the television station.
Mm-hmm.
I took out a home equity loan. I paid off all my bills. I moved my kid brother into my house and made him my tenant,
Nice.
So he could pay half my mortgage. Listen, I had a plan. Because when you cut a paycheck off, it's off.
Right.
And you got to figure out how you're going to pay care of your own health insurance, particularly if you have small children and a wife or something like that. Look, you better have a plan, or you could destroy your entire life making an impulse decision. And that doesn't make any sense.
So now you mentioned being a dragon slayer? Is this where that came from?
Well, I just always had that mentality. I'm the oldest of 4 children. I have 3 younger brothers, so my joke with people is that I've always been the boss, right? So
Got it.
job. I was a television producer, top 5 television market when I was 23 years old. Let me tell you something. I have always had a job where I got to tell other people what to do, whether it was when I was a child in my mother's house or when I became a grown adult. So this is my thing. But the problem with people with my personality is I don't do well in corporate settings. So I quickly realized, I left my corporate America when I was 26 because I knew that most entrepreneurs are people that can't work for anybody else. So I raised my hand and say, I'm one of those people. I can't do it.
Well,
I got to be running.
It took me a number of years to figure out I should have never been in corporate America. And so how did you come to that realization? And more importantly, how did you develop the courage to say, you know what, I'm out?
Well, sometimes you see the handwriting on the wall. They were getting ready to fire me. So I know. But I think that I knew for myself, I had a plan when I was in college. I wanted to be a television producer. I wanted to work in a major market. And so my first job was in number 20 market. My second job was in market 4, and I did those jumps in a year. So my first job I had for a year, second job, I ended up in Philadelphia working for the NBC station. I worked for them about 2.5 years, defected across the street to the ABC station, worked for them about 2 years. And I said, you know what? I don't need to do this anymore. It was my dream job and it was a nightmare. So that's why it's like you got to be careful what you wish for because you just might get it.
Right.
And when you get it, it might not be what you thought it was going to be, It's like getting married, you realize you are not who I thought you were. I got to get away from you, so it's like same deal. But the thing is that the great thing about being in America, the great thing about being someone who is educated, you can always reinvent. You can always hit the reset button and say, okay, you know what? My gifts are not being utilized here. Let me find out somewhere else where they can be. But the other thing too is when you get the idea that you want to start a business, it's one thing to want to start a restaurant, but you need to know how restaurants work. So the third step in the Emerson planning system is I want people to work part-time for a business like the one they want to start. One of the things that I did when I was starting out, I worked part-time for another production company for a year before I quit my job at the station. Because I knew how to tell great stories. I had no idea how to do a quote. I didn't know how to source editors and people, how much I had to pay people and stuff like that. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I had to learn. So I worked for another production company and I learned. And then when time came, I got my little business cards made and walked out the door. I put my Rolodex in my purse and rolled out the door. And that's how it all began. But I learned everything I know about business the hard way because I have a communication studies degree. I'm a journalist. I'm not a business major, so it was hard. That was the reason why when I looked up later, when I finally had time to sit down and think, I was like, wow, look at all these the mistakes I didn't have to make if I had had better information. And that's why I said, well, I got to be the person giving out the information.
So let's talk about that because there's this thing that seems to be happening in the conversation right now where because you said earlier it's going to take 18 24 months to see the profit and then there's this own transition period that you're going through personally as you're making this transition into a business owner. And then you're talking about how you go from video production now to something different and well, not necessarily something different, but adding something else to it. Talk to us a little bit about the process of, I guess it's almost like, a kid, a child. You have to let it grow up and mature and become something else because your business doesn't necessarily start out it doesn't start out being what you thought it was going to be.
It doesn't. It never does because you have to grow yourself to grow your business. So as you learn, as you grow, as you read, as you get around other business owners and you get to learn from your peers, you get to work on your own leadership skills. That's when you're like, oh, you know what? I do need to hire differently. Oh, I really do need job descriptions. Oh, I have to take on the role of mentor to my employees. I can't just assume that they're going to show up and know what to do, even if the resume says that they do know what to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, but you learn this stuff. Nobody wakes up and comes out of the college and they're a great manager, right? And they have to learn how to do that. And certainly, just because you're a business owner, that doesn't even mean you're going to be a good manager. You got to
No.
work at that. You got to learn what that is. And so there's so many things to it. I mean, when you put your shingle out there and you say you're going to be open for business, you're taking on 10 to 12 jobs at a time, any of which can clothesline you on any given day. And that's the stuff that's like, oh my gosh, and all you want to do is make great widgets, or all you want to do is be a doctor, or all you want to do is be an architect. But you got to know how to build people to get your money. Like you got to know the
Right.
So it's really very complicated.
What's funny right now is what's going through my head. I was like, man, I'm like, is this somebody mentally quitting on themselves right now? Going, man, maybe I don't want to be in business, because as they listen to you, it's very possible that they could hear these things, but at the same time, wouldn't you say that what you want to bring, the value you want to bring to the marketplace, just needs to be bigger than these? All of these things are true. I mean, you're going to have to deal with them, but the size of the desire or passion that you have for the value you want to bring to the marketplace, it just needs to be larger or large enough, or do you have to have that mission? How does one overcome all of these extra things that, we don't really want to do in the first place? Hello there, entrepreneur. This is Jay Massey, and what I want to say to you is that the number one mistake that I have ever made in business, number one, has been waiting too long to do the books, waiting too long to get the bookkeepers, the accountants, the CPAs, the CFOs involved, and I don't want you to make that same mistake. That mistake cost me over 6 figures, and now for a significant discount, you have the ability to get your books together using FreshBooks. So what I want you to do is I want you to go over to gofreshbooks.com/cashflowdiary. Again, that's gofreshbooks.com/cashflowdiary. FreshBooks is the easy to use software designed to help you, the small business owner, the freelancer, get organized and save time on invoicing, getting paid faster, keeping those books in order so that it becomes a bonus for you to do your taxes as opposed to a burden. Go over to gofreshbooks.com/cashflowdiary and get started today. And now let's get back to the rest of the story.
Well, you have to figure out as the business owner, what is your most high valued activity, right? Because you definitely don't want to be out here doing $15, $20 hour work, not when your time is billable at 100, 200,
hold on.
500.
Say that again. No. Preach that one right there, because I need everybody to hear it.
No, you as the business owner should not be spending your time doing $15 to $20 an hour work. Ever. Why would you be spending your time putting data into QuickBooks? Why would you do that? Unless your business is accounting, that is not a good use of your time. And I'm sure you can go through your business and there's all kinds of other things you're doing that you should not be. And it's like, you just have to make a decision. You need to, as the business owner, you got to be working on the thing closest to money. That's what you need to be working on.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate now. But Melinda, I don't have any money to pay somebody else.
Listen, you don't have any money not to pay them. I mean, there's this whole chicken egg thing. You've got to figure it out. You've got to invest in yourself. Maybe you need to go and take a micro loan from a CDFI to get, 25, 30 grand so you can do this thing for real. But if you want to be a big girl, big boy business, you got to get you some help.
You got that right. So was that when you were writing your list and figuring it out, was that one of those expensive mistakes that you were realizing?
No, because I had staff. I had the wrong staff, but I had staff. No, that wasn't my problem. My problem was I had, Pookie and Ray working for me. But no, I mean, the thing is that when you first start hiring people, you hire people that you like, or you hire people because they need a job and stuff like that, because you don't have a formal hiring process. And that is something you learn when you get to be a savvier business. Um, you should know the people that work for you. Because firing your brother sucks. Ask me how I know. So you want to be really clear about the lines of, you're the business owner and they work for you. Hiring your friends is hard. I don't believe in hiring somebody you can't fire. So I don't like spouses and girlfriends and boyfriends working together. That's a bad idea too. So you just want to make sure that you have a business relationship. There's mutual respect. You like them, you care about them, but at the end of the day, you got to be willing to fire them if you need to.
Wow. I can see that being a challenge, having to fire someone you live with. Yes.
Yeah. Ask me how I know about that too.
Hey, understood.
Right,
So
that's another conversation about how many divorced business owners there are out here. Quite a few of them.
Well, but you're bringing up a very important point, because one of the things that I know I found difficult, and I haven't found any necessarily shortcuts to, is developing a process or becoming better at picking the right people that need to be in the right position. Because sometimes I've hired or brought on the correct person, but I have them in the wrong position, and sometimes it takes a moment to realize that. But how do we shortcut some of that?
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing you can do is read as much as you can, go to conferences and stuff. I mean, my goodness, if you go to my blog, succeedasYourOwnBoss.com, I have, but my issue is, for me, you just have to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to be, and that you're going to learn all the stuff you got to learn. I mean, the thing you have to figure out about being an entrepreneur is you need to figure out what you don't know. Because there's stuff you do know, but there's so many things that you don't know that you don't know. And that therein lies the game, right? Yeah. There's stuff you don't know about your bank. There's stuff you don't know about your credit card company. There's stuff you don't know that employees can go do and, tell people that they had full-time jobs and they were entitled to unemployment benefits when they were a contractor. I mean, there's crazy stuff people can do.
So are some of these crazy things that you're mentioning the impetus for the new book, Fix Your Business?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I'm tired of people, not. I want people to enjoy their business again. I want people to have the ability to live their best life as an entrepreneur. And if you have gotten to the point where you're dreading going to work in the morning, you are scared to open your email because something crazy is in it, or you're going to look on Yelp and get a black eye again because some customers last night and they were unhappy, and it because you need to fire an employee, but you don't want to fire them because you don't want the hassle of replacing them or the hassle of the conflict of firing them. No, I want to free people from all of that.
Yeah.
I want people a system. In my new book, Fix Your Business, I developed something called the 12 P's of running a successful business. And in it, I just talk about all the 12 areas that can trip you up big time in business. And all of them are based on different P words. So the first P in Fix Your Business is preparation. And the reason why it is preparation is because I believe people know what's wrong with their business. They just haven't made a decision that they're going to fix it yet. So it's like driving around and you hear your car rattling, but you had somewhere to go, so you ignored it. So you kept on driving. And then the next time you got in the car, the kids might have been with you or your woman was with you. And you just was like, oh man, I hear that rattling, but we're going to be late for the show. We got to go. Right. So you listened to it rattle again. And then the third time you came to get in your car, the car wouldn't start.
Yeah.
And now you got to think to yourself, this is now a much more expensive problem because now the car ain't even running. But what would have happened if you had fixed it when you first heard it rattle? See, that's what's going on in people's businesses. I believe they know what's wrong. I just believe they haven't made the decision that they're ready to do the hard steps it's going to take to fix it.
I once heard a phrase that it said that all problems grow larger and accrue interest the longer you let them sit there.
I like that. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use it, but I'm gonna use that because that's a good one. No, and listen, and 50% of all business problems are not so well hidden personal problems, right?
Huh.
So I don't know an entrepreneur that doesn't want to talk to me about their employees, their people, right? And I'm like, well, what is it like to work for you? Are you a good boss? Are you a mean boss? Are you the type of boss where everybody knows what kind of day you're having based on how you treat them? People leave people. People don't leave jobs. So what is your ego? What's killing your business? Are you treating your employees and your customers like they're bothering you? Because that's not going to work. So in chapter 3 of my book is people. I get all over people's people issues.
Well, you said something earlier that, we can't necessarily outgrow. I mean, the business grows almost, I would assume, directly proportional to my own personal growth. So
absolutely,
this seems like would be one of the places, like, I guess basically what you're saying is that if you're having a trouble with your people, possibly look at yourself first is what I'm hearing.
Try that. I mean, but the other issue is people need a real hiring process. People need job descriptions. They need to figure out where they're going to source talent from. Are they going to get on job boards, LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed? What are they going to do? Then they got to say, okay, well, who's going to do the first screening of the resumes that come in? Because you might get 100 or 2 for one position. So who's going to look through the craziness to get down to 20 that are maybe reasonable to look at? Then after that, how are you going to interview people? Are you going to do phone interviews? You're going to do in-person interviews? You're going to do panel interviews? Do you have a list of questions? Are you going to ask all your interview candidates the same questions? Or are you going to get sidetracked because you like their shoes and start having a conversation about their shoes? And next thing you know, you're going to hire somebody who you didn't check whether or not they had the skills to actually do the job you need them to do. I haven't seen that happen before. Anyway, so my point is, hiring people is no joke, but replacing people is expensive. Even an entry-level employee, it's 2 to 3 times their salary to replace them.
Yeah, and well,
it's worth not hiring the right way the first time.
Okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate again, but Melinda, I'm too busy working today. I don't have time to do all those steps you just said.
Okay, so keep doing $15 or $20 hour work. Keep doing $40 or $50 an hour work that you could pay somebody to do instead of going out and getting the client that's going to pay you $500 an hour. Keep doing it then. If what you're doing is working for you, okay. Keep doing it. Because maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. But I think as an entrepreneur, however, we're often caught in the working in our business versus on our business. And every day people get caught up in that, but it's all about how you organize your schedule. Okay.
I take one day a week to work on what I want my future business to be.
Okay, let's hold on. Say that again.
What do
you mean?
I mean, one day a week is my day to think about the big picture of my company. What relationships do we need? Who do we really want to work with? Rather than waiting on our phone to ring, who do we want to partner with? What is our next big thing that we're going to do? What is my next book going to be? Whatever. Like, I take time to think. And I don't let anybody get on my schedule on those days. I don't do calls. I don't do coffees. I don't do lunches. I give myself a day a week. And even when I'm working the rest of the week, I prioritize 5 major tasks a day, and I try to get them done before 11 a.m. I'm a morning person, so my best working hours are early morning. So I try to bang out my stuff that I got to do by 11 a.m. And then anything I get done after that is gravy. But my priorities, the stuff that I need to make sure I get done, that's on my top 5 hit list. And I usually put the hardest thing first.
Got it. Totally understood. So for those that have listened this far and have been following along, taking notes, and if they, because that's what I've been doing, and they want to find out more about what you have going on, what's going to be the best way for them to track you down?
Well, first of all, I want them to follow me as the Small Biz Lady everywhere online, on Twitter, on Facebook. I am Melinda Emerson on LinkedIn. Go follow me because I publish content 4 days a week that's going to help you grow and start your business. Also, I have written 2 books, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, which is a national bestseller in its 2nd edition, and my brand new book, Fix Your Business. So if you know you got a spaghetti western going on in your business, you go grab my book, Fix Your Business, and I promise you it's going to help you take a new lease on life in your business.
Got it. Now, as we wind down here, I have a final question for you because I'm curious to hear your answer. I think it's going to be different than most of the ones we've gotten before. Let's pretend for a moment that there's someone listening who's, I like to say they've listened this far and they've come to this point. They're like, okay, I can do this. I got Melinda's support out there. I know entrepreneurs are being made every day. This can indeed happen for me. They have come to that point of decision. In fact, I like to say that they're standing in front of the superhero outfit store. Now, like I know, when we get to these points of decision, oftentimes there's a voice that accompanies us. And that voice says things like, oh, who are you to actually, do you honestly think you can? And for some people, they're actually related to that voice. So my question to you is as follows. Let's pretend, Melinda, that they're going to actually get it done. They're going to do something and they're going to make it happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. What would you suggest that they do?
I think they should buy my book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, so they can get really clear about all the work that is involved in doing this thing we call entrepreneurship. The next thing I think they should do is find an existing entrepreneur and go have lunch with them and ask them what are the 3 biggest mistakes they've made in business.
Yeah, that's a good question. You're going to learn a lot with that particular question.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. So, I knew you would give us something completely different and new right there. I had a feeling it was coming. So I definitely appreciate that. And I want to be the first to say, I appreciate what you're doing, the change that you're making. I love the fact that you're like, bring the problem to me. I got this. And you're out there making that happen so that other people can find a smoother path. It won't be completely free of trouble, but at least smoother so that they can go out there and get their business started. So thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge, your wisdom, and your insight here with us today at the Cashflow Diary.
I'm happy to be here, and anyone that wants any more information from me, go to succeedasyourownboss.com. I've published over 5,000 articles about how to start and grow a successful small business.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? Well, you heard the lady. Go to succeedasyourownboss.com. Why? Because you know you've been inspired. Because you know that, hey, now you have a plan, and especially a hiring plan, and more importantly, a firing plan if you need it. But at the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. There's something you want to bring to the marketplace. So bring it. And know that you have support and that there's lots of entrepreneurs who are out there. We've made the mistakes, but more importantly, the mistakes aren't a reason to stop. It's most important for you to know that even despite all the trouble, everything that you've heard and that we all go through, it's still worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.